What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to be working on my 2005 Jeep Wrangler 1-ton build, and I'm going to show you how to transform your boring looking Jeep into this. So as you can tell, I did do the windshield delete, and I'll show you how I did it. I also did those aggravating Torx bit deletes, so. So what I'm referring to is making an actual windshield delete. And what you do is you modify this hinge right here to make the windshield removable. I've really gotten into riding around in this Jeep with the windshield folded down, but it kind of looks goofy. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you can see the windshield folds down just like that and rests on the rubber pieces there. So once you take the bolt out from right there, you know, the windshield folds down. So, I mean, it doesn't look that bad, but it just kind of looks like a massive windshield just folded down on your hood. So I've really started liking how these TJ and LJ buggy dudes, you know, they take their windshield off, and you can see my Edmondson off-road cage there a lot better with the windshield down. And I don't know. I think it'll look better without the windshield laying down on the hood. So we're gonna take the pins out of the hinges and replace them with some removable pins, and I'll show you how I'm gonna do that. So like 1,000 years ago, when Pirate 4x4 was still a thing, I saw this guy, you know, cut these hinges off and then put like a 7/16 like grade 8 bolt through that hinge, and I always thought that was like the coolest thing in the world. So what I'm using is a super thin cutting disc on an angle grinder, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very, very, very slowly start working on the head of this pin here until it comes off. And I'm going to try not to go into that hinge there. All right, guys, so I got a little bit of a change in plans. So instead of trying to knock those pins out while it's on the Jeep, I'm coming mighty close to scratching up the paint and everything like that. So I'm actually going to take these brackets off and separate it that way, because these pins are a bear. Holy crap, I did not realize what I've gotten myself into. So of course some of these have rung off, and I did have to drill and tap some of these out, and that was kind of a nightmare, but I'll show you what I've been doing over here. So this is my go-to tool whenever I'm taking out these hex bolts on these Jeeps. So, you know, you put it to where it's loosen it, and then you tap it with a hammer, and what it does is every time you hit, it slowly starts breaking that free, so then you can come up to it and then just take it right on out. You have the brackets off of the windshield. I'll show you right here. So here's the bracket right there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to, what am I going to do? So what I did on the driver's side is I took a fine cutting disc and cut in between these right here and got them to separate, and then I could take this side to my press and press these out, and they popped right out with the press. So they're tapered going in. So, you know, if you're driving them in like I was, you're just getting them in there worse and worse and worse. Total nightmare situation. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning right now, and I have to have this ready for the Jeep affair this weekend. So we got to get to work. All right, so I have one side of the hinges for the windshield delete done, and I'll be honest with you, it was a huge pain in the butt. I thought there was just one single pin all the way through that I could just hammer out, but no, there's 2 pins pushed into each side, and it's tapered, and it's pretty much rust welded shut. And it took a lot of grinding and a lot of choice words to get out, but I've got it out, and this is what I've got so far. So here are the pins that I cut out. Man, those things were in there. So instead of putting the Torx bit bolts back into the Jeep, I went ahead and got some grade 8 bolts that just bolt right in. These are standard thread. They were, you know, at my local Tractor Supply. It wasn't hard to find or anything. I'll be honest with you, this is one of those projects that it was supposed to take like 30 minutes, and it is day 3. So what I've got now is I went ahead and painted all of these hinges right here where I had, you know, cut everything. And that way, you know, they wouldn't rust or anything like that. But so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this bracket and put it back over the holes right here, and then take my grade 8 bolt and kind of find that plate. So there is a plate back there that moves, so there is adjustments to this, but what I like to do is just get everything threaded in. And then I'll slowly just start to tighten everything hand tight. Using a 1/2-inch socket, and you can tell with the overspray where this bracket was, so that's pretty nice. But so what I've seen to be easier is to do these front ones first. Don't get them tight. Just get them snug, and then we'll come on the side right here, snug these bad boys up. And I'm not cranking down at all. I'm just getting them where they are snug. So right here you can see the overspray line. It's right there behind it. So what I'm going to do now is try to get this door on, and then I just want to make sure that these are perfectly lined up so that my full doors and my half doors go on and off with ease. So there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and torque these down to spec. Torque them down to spec. And we're going to go for a ride in this thing. Alright, so had an awesome day riding around with the no windshield on the LJ, and now it's calling for a little bit of rain, so got to come back to reality and get the windshield back on, so I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So on the brackets that go on the windshield, what I did, since I did have to cut a little bit of metal off, was I took a grade 8 washer and, let's see if it'll focus, and welded it to the bottom. Apparently I forgot to hit the record button, but welded these on, drilled them out to the same exact hole size as this, and that'll take up some free space whenever I bolt it on there, because if not, there'd be a little bit of play, and that may be fine, but I'm not going to risk it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line this back up. You can see where the bracket was before. You can just line it back up, and let me get up under there. And what I'll do is I'll start running these bolts in, and then we'll get it back on the Jeep. Alright, so these are the same bolts that I was putting into the other brackets. Just same grade 8 bolts with washers. I feel like the washers make it look nicer. So what I'm doing is I'm just starting them, and then I'll come back and tighten them once I get it exactly where I want it. So what I'm doing now is just eyeballing it to where I can see the old paint lines. So start tightening these up just a little bit. Just go back and forth on them. Alright, so I got the brackets both on, lined up with the new grade 8 hardware. So no more having to worry about those aggravating Torx bits anymore. So now I'm going to put the windshield back on the LJ. Alright, so I got the windshield up in place. It would be a lot easier with 2 people, but I kind of wanted to show you that you can do it with 1 person. But, so what I have is I think this is a 4-inch 7/16 bolt. Alright, so I got the 7/16 bolts all in on both sides. Now we'll just pick the windshield up. Hopefully everything lines up. Just like that. How cool is that? So you can see now I've got all the grade 8 bolts here. Now I've just got to get some grade 8 bolts there. And then get a nut on that. And we'll say it's done. So I got the windshield all nice and snug all the way back on, and I'm pretty pleased with the project. I definitely thought this was going to be like a 30-minute ordeal, and then I pretty much just ended up using every tool that I have in my shop. So anyway guys, that's going to wrap up this video. I really appreciate y'all watching. This really wasn't a very good how-to video, just kind of showed you how I ended up making this windshield removal. But anyway, if you don't mind, hit that like button and make sure that you are subscribed, and we will see you on the next one.